Hi everybody, it's Aluna Michaels, Esoteric Astrologer. How are you doing? I'm going to talk to you about esoteric events of the month of March 2015. And there's a lot to talk about, so let's see. First of all, if some of you know about Mercury going direct, Mercury has already gone direct in February, and that was actually on the 10th or 11th of February. But what happens is it then catches up with itself. And it turned retrograde at 17 degrees of Aquarius. It retrograded back to 1 degree of Aquarius. And then we say, okay, when does it get to 17 degrees of Aquarius again? That's going to be on the 4th of March. So that's when it starts covering new ground. So that can be like a real feeling of like, it's really direct, you know, so sometimes there's even more breakthroughs if you've been feeling like, why does it feel like it's not all tied up yet? You know, all the weird things that happen during Mercury retrograde. So it goes forward and it's like, yay, but then when it passes that point and starts covering new ground, it's even better. So that's something to look forward to there, but that's minor. We get some bigger things to talk about. Okay, let's see, how will I approach this? Okay, the next thing, let's just go chronologically. Mars is in Aries right now, which is its own sign, you know, because Aries loves Mars, that, let's do it, let's get it done. And Mars is going to conjunct, be right next to the planet Uranus on the 10th of March. And that's great, but it can also be a little edgy, so just be aware. People are feeling like, you know, that Mercury's really direct, and Mars like, yeah, I'm going to do it, and can be a little bit selfish. So sometimes people are feeling like, you know, I'm going to do it my way and right now, and because I want to, and people can feel like their tempers are really high. So just be aware of that. Around the 10th. It can also be really great though, because a lot of what I want to talk about this month is because a lot's happening in Pisces. Pisces represents fear or faith. So if you're feeling like there's something you are battling with inside yourself, especially internalized sorts of fears or things that keep you from like attaining your potential, like your internal blocks that don't let you really live in an authentic way. This is a month to really make some big strides in that area, but it can also mean looking at a lot of things that are scary. So the courage of Mars conjunct Uranus, like I'm definitely going to do it. I'm pushing through no matter what. I've got fresh energy about it. It's like, yes, you know, so having that happen right before all this sort of Pisces stuff, you can have that courage to go within and sort of the momentum to push through limitations that you may encounter as you're trying to move those limitations out. The limitations are like, no, I really need to be here. It's like, well, I don't know. That Mars-Uranus can kind of, wow, like push you over that kind of, let's say, bullshit stuff that your inner self, the limited self wants to tell you. No, we really need to stay this small, you know? So that Mars conjunct Uranus, the audacity of that and the courage of that and the kind of at any cost, I'm going to win, that can be used to your advantage if you're doing some spiritual work. So so we've got that happening on the 10th. Next thing is, and these are all kind of interconnected, the planet Saturn is going to go retrograde. Now, Saturn is the planet that represents obstacles, but also represents the systematic dismantling of obstacles. So it's a funny planet. Sorry, my ears are in my earrings here. It's a funny planet because it builds the obstacle, but it also takes the obstacle down brick by brick. And so when Saturn's retrograde, it really can be a time where you're looking within and saying, all right, what do I do to mess things up for myself? And not in a blaming way, but you're the common denominator in all the events of your life. So what is the internal pattern in me that gets me into these relationships or these jobs or these emotional states? Like, how am I believing lies of limitation about myself, that I deserve these things? Or what's the karmic background to this lifetime, other lifetimes if you think about other lifetimes? Saturn can show you, here's where it goes awry. And we can take this apart. And that's the great way to look at Saturn retrograde, or Saturn even in general, but when it's retrograde, it really is that internal looking. But Saturn retrograde can also feel very depressing because it's like, you know, you don't want to get into Mars, Uranus, yes, and Saturn retrograde, I can't. So making this where having friends that know, like even around the 10th of the month, maybe talking to friends about this is what I want to work on. I'm going to do it. You know, I'm going to overcome this part of myself. And you could ask that friend, what are they working on? Because then when the Saturn goes retrograde, you can feel a little flagging. And then your friend's saying, no, no, keep going. And they're feeling blah. And you can say to them, keep going. So it helps to have a buddy with this, or a pep talk to yourself, or journal, you know, and then reread what you journaled when Mars was conjuncting Uranus. Yes. So that Saturn retrograde is like, okay, it's a little intimidating to go within, look at myself, see what's in my way, take responsibility for it. Because if you take responsibility for it, you can create something new. If you know, you don't want to blame yourself, but you don't want to be a victim to something else. Why is it happening to me? If I know I'm doing it, instead of blaming, I can say, if I created this somehow, I can uncreate it and recreate something else. So that's that good part of Saturn instead of the self-flagellating. That's why your friend is helpful, or partner on the path that you can get to help you with this. Okay, so that's Saturn goes retrograde the 13th of March. And then on the 16th of March, the planet Mercury, you're thinking, makes a square to that Saturn, which just retrograded. That can again be Mercury's in Pisces, the fears, really challenging right there. And then the 19th, Mercury conjuncts Neptune. So all of this between the 13th and 19th can be a major, will be a major task of like, are you believing you can really create something new? Or are you believing the lie that you're stuck in the lower thing forever? I mean, it's like, whoa. So having some meditations where you're feeling maybe some guided meditations, reading inspiring books of people that have overcome things worse than yours, or just spiritual books about the possibilities of change, and you know, all this kind of thing can be really helpful. Talking to the friend, because one thing, Pisces is very compassionate. So you can see for them, and Pisces is able to dream big for them, but it can be hard to do it for yourself with these planets going on like this. So having that spiritual partner and say, I know you can get over this. I've seen you getting over this. This is your action plan. Don't believe the lower self. This is, like in Unity, they call that the second force. You say, I'm going to make this change. You know, I'm not going to eat chocolate cake for 90 days. And then, yeah, you're going along for like 10 days. And then all of a sudden, everywhere you look, it seems to be people eating chocolate cake, or ads about chocolate cake, or you get in a fight with someone, you want chocolate cake, and it's like, maybe I really want that chocolate cake. But that's the part, if you can get through it, that you gain so much more strength. So this period of time there between the 13th and 19th is kind of like that second force. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's impossible to do. It'll never happen. All of that difficult part of the Pisces planets happening can come up. So having that friend is vital, or being able to talk to yourself, or however you want to do it to pep yourself through it, but really can help to have a partner who believes in your positive possibilities. Then another big thing, so that was the 13th to the 19th. Then on the 20th, we are having an eclipse. It is a solar eclipse. It's going to be, this is interesting. The sun is going to be 29 degrees of Pisces, which is the final degree of Pisces, and the moon will also be at 29 Pisces. So it's a new moon, new beginnings, right? But what's so cool is 29 degrees of Pisces isn't just the last degree of Pisces, it's the last degree of the zodiac. And to have that new beginning at that, just really saying, I'm ready to close out this part of my limitation. I'm ready to close out this part of my karma. I'm done with this. I'm complete with this. I've learned all I need to learn from being in this limited mindset, or this limited set of experiences. I'm moving up into 0 degrees Aries, pow. And an eclipse has even more energy than a regular new or full moon, in this case new. And the effects last about 6 months. And if you have anything at the end of Pisces, the end of Sagittarius, the end of Virgo, the end of Gemini, especially powerful. And that could be any planet. That could be your Mercury, your moon, your ascendant, anything like that. Or of course, 29, or the end of Cancer, the end of Scorpio. You know, a lot of these, even if you have anything at the end of any sign, or, and I'm sorry about the math with this, but even the beginning of the next one. Because if you have the beginning of Aries, the beginning of Capricorn, the beginning of Libra, the beginning of, which one haven't I said yet? Cancer. That mathematically is also getting in the energy of the eclipse. So, but everybody should just take this advice with the eclipse because it's powerful. But if you know your chart and you know you've got 29 degrees of Pisces and you can figure out what's within even 5-6 degrees of that, you can run with that energy even more. And to it's important, because 29 Pisces is the end of the entire zodiac, to do a sort of release process, grieving process, even a funeral for your lower self that's leaving. Somehow these limitations served you. They kept you safe. They bonded you with certain people. They helped you do karma from past lifetimes, so you put up with stuff. But it's to honor that part that is now done, and to do some sort of ritual in your mind that you've released it, you've thanked it, you've blessed it, you've released even the anger about it. You know, like let's say a parent died and you had mixed feelings with the parent or something. You release the good, you release the bad. So this part of yourself is getting a send-off and doing something to commemorate that closure and a finality with it. Could be very, very powerful, and say, now I'm in this energy of Aries, and for the next 6 months you can really ride that energy. And it kind of harkens back to the Mars conjunct Uranus that we're getting at the beginning of March, because then moving into Aries, it's that same recall of that Mars and Aries. So when the sun moves into Aries, the sun and moon, that next day of the 21st of March, and it's spring and what all that means, and even Easter coming up, that whole energy of renewal. So it's like, wow, I can really grab back onto that yes that happened at the beginning of the month with even the Mercury direct and then that Mars-Uranus stuff. So you go through that kind of, you know, fear time or dark time, and then come out with this empowerment. And reminding yourself, and maybe even drawing a little gravestone for, you know, my low self-esteem or whatever you're giving up and releasing, you know, maybe make a little image of that. So when you think about, oh, no, it's dead and gone. Dead, gone, buried, done. I'm in my new self, you know, because these transitions, of course, aren't perfect. But over the next 6 months that you really say, this is gone. This is nothing I use anymore. It's not part of my conscious anymore. I'm not bringing it back in. This can be just an extremely transformative month of March. So, and just to say too with Pisces, Pisces can be very tough and strong. You know, in the esoteric, it's actually connected with Pluto as opposed to Neptune, and sometimes think Neptune is like, oh, push over and all that kind of typical Pisces stuff. But there's a core of Pisces that really is tough. It is, in the esoteric, the world savior. You got to be tough to be a savior. Even the idea of martyrdom, you got to be tough to be a martyr, you know, to carry the energy of the world, to want to transform the planet, to have that vitality within yourself. But, you know, in order to transform the planet or transform humanity, however you want to see that be a spiritual, someone of spiritual service, you've got to transform your own limitations and have that all cleared out before you help others transform. And that's where Pisces can have a problem, is they try to help before they fix themselves. And that gets into that old codependent and all that stuff, Al-Anon things or whatever. So when Pisces is at its best, it's like, I went through myself, I moved all those limitations out, I have compassion for people's limitations, but I'm not operating from mine, and so I can be the savior, I can be the healer, you know, in an esoteric manner, and not some sort of you know, meddling type of thing, or worrisome, I'll take care of you because you're going to take care of yourself. It's like you've sent that empowerment to that person's soul, and you really live it, that you've done it. So this is what this month can really be, a massive preparation for that. And we're so blessed to have this eclipse at that 29 degrees, like Pisces, wow, you know, that's so cool. So enjoy the energy, and I hope you reach out and find a friend who's on a spiritual path that can help you when you do kind of fall back into your fears before the new moon and even after to remind, nope, that was, look at gravestone here, it's done. You're in a new energy now. And and if you would like to have a private session with me, my website is alunamichaels.com. My cell phone is 248-583-1663, so you can text to that number. And my office phone is 727-239-7179. So hang in there. I'm grateful you're on this path with me. I'm grateful to my subscribers because I know they're resonating with something. We're all resonating together and on this path together, whether we know each other or not. And I'll see you next month, and happy transformation.